So let's get underway. We're just a couple of minutes after the hour, and I try to commit to everyone that we will finish within the hour. We have a smaller group today, but we had a much larger registration list, so I know people will be listening to the recorded version of this. So I would like to go ahead with the report and then get your input. So we will be doing a round table after my report on the topic of what 2020 has taught us. So I'll be coming to each of you from your perspective in your institutes, what we've learned from the experiences. Doesn't sound like a strong enough word, but what's happened over the last 13 months now, 14 months in terms of the global pandemic. So in terms of my update, I don't have Oksana. Hi, welcome.
Good evening.
Yeah, very nice to see you. So in terms of my update, it's fairly straightforward. We haven't had a board meeting since the last update that we had. We do have a board meeting next week. So at our next update in May, I'll have more information about the work of the board. So just a few of the activities that I've been involved in, and then I'll ask Rima to update from her perspective from the Secretariat as well. The first one is that I guess the major event that I attended this week, I was also attended with Rima. The EBRD held a meeting in Morocco for small businesses, looking at the dynamics of change in that region. So they had asked me to do the opening address, which I did on consulting through disruption, which was an interesting session. I didn't stay for the whole event. It was difficult for me as I'm not a French speaker, and all of the proceedings were held in French. Rima was there for the entire meeting, and I think her French is better than mine, in spite of mine being from Canada, where French is an official language. We've also been invited. I'm sure you're all aware that ICMCI is an observer with has observer status with the UN. So we've been invited by ECOSOC to make a statement about the contribution of our organization, so Management Consulting, for sustainable development. We're working on that. It's only 500 words, so it's not a great essay, but once we have that finalized, we'll circulate that to institutes that might be of interest to you and it might be useful to you. We've also been looking at the Co-NGO. Co-NGO is an association of NGO observer status organizations that are non-government organizations. So it's over 1,000. I can't remember the exact number, but it's a very large organization. Soren, our past chair, attended that meeting last week. And we had a meeting of officers of the board just to have a talk about what the implications are, how we can use that. We're very short on resources, so we can't do everything that we want to. But we do have a task force set up on the future of consulting, and we've asked the head of that task force, Gergana, who's on our board, if she would take that as one of the items to look at in the future of consulting. And she's agreed to do that since our meeting this morning. So we'll be moving ahead on that and keep you informed. We're also at the board meeting next week going to be looking at upcoming events. We've decided we will stay virtual again this year, right through October. So the annual meeting will be virtual. We'll have a session at in the early morning my time, which is sort of early afternoon for the Asia Pacific countries, and then one about this time for the Americas and for Europe. I guess Europe can go to either one. So we will do it the same format, roughly speaking, as we did last year. We'll have a video presentation. We'll send videos in advance so people can be brought up to date on everything that's been happening in advance of the meeting. Then we'll have a discussion session where all delegates can sign on either to the earlier or the later session, have discussion with the board, and ask any questions that they might have, and review any recommendations for approval that delegates will be voting on. The difference is that between those two sessions, Rima and I are working on on thinking about what speakers we might invite sort of in 1 hour increments beyond that. So kind of make a little mini conference between the two sessions so people can stay on later or come in earlier and participate in those. So I think it'll be a great event. So we're looking now, this will be approved and we'll send out notice after the after our board meeting, but we're aiming for the 14th of October for that session. And certainly it'll be the week of October 11th. The Constantinis Award, yay, is going to be going ahead this year. It was canceled last year due to the pandemic. So they will be going ahead, but with a virtual event. Rima is assuring me that it's going to be top notch, and I'm sure it is. The Constantinis Awards Committee Task Force Working Group, can't remember what we call it, Rima, does really good work in terms of their output. Office. Okay, thank you. So it'll be the day before, so on the 13th of October, and I don't know the exact details on that, but you'll be brought up to date. So so I'm really looking forward to that ceremony. And Rima tells me I can try on my tuxedo again, but I'll have to lose a little bit of the COVID weight between now and October. So that'll be my challenge. Asia Pacific Hub is scheduled for 27th of May. Euro Hub is scheduled for the 2nd of June. So those are both confirmed dates. The times will be coming to you and they'll be published on our website as well. The Americas Hub, I'm just now working with the chairs of the institutes in Americas. And we're looking to have a meeting on the 20th of May. So that's not yet confirmed, but I'm hopeful we'll be able to go ahead with that. And of course, June 3rd, as always, the first Thursday in June is International Consultants Day. So third?
It would be the 3rd of June this year.
Yeah, the 3rd of June this year. Yes. So we'll be having a major event there and looking forward to that. In terms of updates on programs, the major activity that I've been involved in has been around the CMC Firm and the CMC Global Directory. Both of those, I think, are amazing initiatives in terms of building networking around the world. So CMC firms at the firm level, how do firms find each other for building projects and networking and collaborating? And at the CMC Global directory level, how do individual consultants who are interested in working internationally and aspire to international contracts meet with each other, network, learn from each other, and probably more importantly from our perspective, build projects together. I know there's been increasing activity in that area. So both of them are moving forward. For the CMC Firm, the Secretariat has taken on a project to really advance the marketing for that in these first 6 months of 2021. And the CMC Global Directory is reaching very soon the milestone of having 100 members. I've been involved from the beginning with that one, and I'll continue to support the people who have registered for that one to see how we can use that as a platform to really build visibility for members there. The last item that two more items. One is ISO 2700. This has been another very successful program in terms of thinking about what is entry level to the profession. There's no question that having a global standard by a third party as credible as ISO has been a huge feather in the cap for our profession. And the development of the checklist training has been a really good step forward in terms of us being able to use that standard to reach out to new entrants into consulting and existing members to really help them understand what is that baseline of consulting and to give them a tool that's very, very helpful with that. As I've always said, when I started even being considered for chair, that I'm not the standards guy, so I've come up not on the standards route, so that's not my area of expertise, but I've learned a lot about ISO 2700, and this is an amazing program. In fact, I held up my hand to be one of the first to take one of the first training programs, just so I could learn more about it and do some training with Global Institute and CMC Canada to keep my hand in it. And it's very, very rewarding to see the results that you get from participants in that training and their appreciation of that tool. And then finally is the Chartered Management Consulting. This is something that's been on our agenda for a number of years. In the United Kingdom Institute, they have formed an association with the Management Consulting Association there, which is an association of the major firms. that has quite a separate organization from our Management Consulting Institute in the UK. And they have created and received permission from the Crown to have a chartered management consulting designation. So they're still in pilot phase, but they'll be ramping up and moving into a full program later this year. The pilot stage has gone very, very well. From the perspective of ICMCI, anything we do to increase the visibility and improve the profession is a good thing. So something with a higher profile, such as chartered management consulting, can be good for the profession. It's also a foot in the door in terms of opening a stronger relationship with the large firms, and this has been a gap in our global organization since the large firms tended to stop offering the CMC. It's not consistent around the world, but in general they've stopped doing this. So this may be a way to build stronger linkages with the firms. The issue we need to think about, and we've been in ongoing constant communication with the UK, is what happens if someone from Canada or from the United States or from Finland sees that the UK is offering this chartered management consulting status and says, that's something I want, and applies to them to do that. So how do they involve the institute that consultant is from in a way that's meaningful and helpful both to the home institute and IMC UK? So they're very aware of that. They're building the pathway now and increasing the understanding of what it means to be a CMC and what is the pathway from the CMC to be a chartered management consultant. Rima and I, in the meetings that we've been having with the IMC UK, have been making suggestions. They've been taking that into account and looking at how they would involve the institutes in those kinds of situations, because we just don't want any sort of, what's the strong word, pirating of members from institutes, because there's a different kind of a standard in one of our member institutes. So they're aware of this, and they're really working hard on that. So I think it all will work well, and we'll keep you updated on those as we go forward. So any questions about first of all, Rima, any updates or anything you want to elaborate on of the things that I opened here?
Except that the marketing of the CMC firm, did bear fruit. We had 3 applications since the beginning of the marketing type of campaign that we started, and 2 were already approved as CMC firms, so 2 extra ones. 1 is still in the funnel because they don't have any CMCs at the moment, and we actually connected them with the IMC that would be able to provide them with that. So other than gaining CMC firms, we actually gained through our network some CMCs as well. What we did for both the CMC firm and the CMC directory is that we added the ticker on the website, or the news bar, whatever anyone calls it. And in there, we actually have testimonials from people who became members of the directory or became members of the CMC firm, in order to tell us why they appreciate being in this network, or how they benefited so far. So those would be added to as we go, and I believe those would be, people promoting something for you is better than you promoting it. Other than that, those are the 2 that you talked about. And of course, the Constantinis, yes, it's going to be a big event. And that is what I was promised by Alfred. And we know he always, goes the whole mile. So please, everyone, once we announce the date of the annual meeting, we will announce the date of the Constantinis, and please be there. I know that we will enjoy that day. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dwight.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Any questions about anything I've raised, or questions on any topic from the ICMCI perspective? Okay. If anything occurs while we're going through the rest of the session, please feel free to jump in. So the topic of the focus is it's a roundtable on what 2020 has taught us. So I'd be really interested in your perception And you're it's stronger than a perception. Your learnings from what's happened in your institute over the last year. It's you know, in at the end of 2019, it would have been hard to imagine disruption of the degree that we've been facing in this point in time. After the roundtable, I'll give you some of the learnings that we've been able to get at ICMCI from the work with institutes over the past 15 months in this pandemic situation. But I thought it might be helpful just to start with a roundtable and get your impressions about from the perspective of what it's meant to consultants in your country and also to your institute. So Oksana, you're on the top of my screen. Do you mind if I start with you?
Excuse me about my English. Now situation is better, real better, because business is live, and we received many new job. Now, yes, of course, it's unreal. Now our National Institute preparing our offline conference,
Okay.
which will take place in Moscow in May, 27 of May. It will be good meeting face to face. That's not all. Now some new participants coming in our National Institute, and step to step we are organizing a sharing of our experience, our projects. It's take place in online, but webinars, two or three in month. It's very interesting for our colleagues, and we think these webinars involve new members in our institute.
Excellent. And your membership, so your membership numbers are increasing now?
Yes, now it's increasing. Since beginning of this year, it's really increasing.
Okay, wonderful, excellent. Thank you very much. A good news story. So nice to hear. Good. Glenn, how are things in Canada?
Hi, Dwight. Yeah, sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, okay.
Well, the one thing that we've learned through 2020 would be that some types of consulting services had a lot of resiliency through the lockdown and the slowdown, and other types were deprioritized. And obviously, as companies went into almost crisis mode, trying to figure out how to operate with all the new rules and the lockdowns, a lot of consulting practices disappeared because the client had other things that they had to focus on. Our experience has been that we pivoted and came up with some quick solutions to support the CEOs, and we retained over 90% of our clients.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we learned. The type of consulting practice matters.
Yes. Okay, excellent. And in terms of your own consulting membership at the Institute?
Yeah, Canada is really focused on growth.
Mm-hmm.
The average age of our members is going up incredibly. It's above the age of retirement. And so we have a real issue, and the focus is singular. It's on growth, and it's on attracting new young professionals. And so therefore, we're very interested in ICMCI support for some of the research that, like, the mature institutes community has provided in the past. We want to hear what other people have done.
Okay, great. Thanks, Glenn. And after we have this report, we can open it up for discussion afterwards as well, if anyone has questions from any of the people that presented. Nick, I see you next on my screen. How are things going in the UK? And you can also elaborate on my update on the Chartered if you would like to.
Okay. Yep, I'll do my best. Well, yeah, actually, the COVID lockdown has really had very minimal effect on our institute here in the UK. But that's mainly because even prior to the lockdown, we've been working very hard to improve the situation of the institute here in the UK. Like so many of the larger, more mature institutes, we've been losing members, losing a bit of interest from the profession in the UK as a whole. And so we sort of 2 years ago, we set up a task force to work on this. And really the work of the task force has gone on even during lockdown. And in many ways, we've had some benefits from it, because having to concentrate on a lot of online communication, in terms of online meetings, getting information out more readily online, we have seen quite a tremendous increase in interest in the Institute. In fact, our membership numbers have soared in the last year. They've gone up tremendously. That's rather a false picture, because nearly all of those new members are actually students. One of our universities has enrolled all of its sort of management students as affiliates of our institute. But we have, it looks as though we've flattened out the losses of members now. We are, that the curve is bottoming out, and we are beginning to stimulate interest in people joining. So a more positive picture than it has been for a while. Consultancy business in the UK, I think same as Glenn has said in Canada, it depends what sort of consultancy you're doing as to whether you survive or not. But like I say, for the Institute, it's getting better. And obviously the chartered management consulting thing, that the initiative that's happening, is creating a tremendous amount of interest. Not just in the big companies, but also from a lot of smaller companies, smaller partnerships and individuals. And so it's taking off quite fast. One of the things which is of interest, obviously, between ICMCI and the Chartered initiative, is that we are, or they are mapping their competence framework for Chartered Management Consultant to our ICMCI competence framework. There is a study just about to start now to map the two frameworks that we've got together. We had that mapping done for our existing framework a couple of years ago, but now we're beginning to update our ICMCI framework. We're doing that comparison and mapping again to make sure that there is absolute harmony between the two. Yeah, so that's the UK situation.
Okay, thank you very much. Silva, how are things with you?
Hello, everyone. I am already at home. Sorry that I was outside, so now I am fully engaged in the process. Let me tell that 2020 was very complicated for IMC Armenia and also for all of us, but for us especially, because we had a very structured and planned year, which contains the organization of Asia Pacific Hub, then CMC Global Hub, and it took much time from us for preparation and also engagement Then we had very important study visit for consultants to Austria. And it was very effective planned year for us, but nothing stayed, as all of you know. And it was somehow the most difficult year for us because we went through the changes, and also we needed to change the plan several times. But from another side, it was time for thinking about the big changes and also to build some big cooperations. Because of this COVID, we cooperated with governmental organizations, with international organizations, organized many coaching consultancy free of charge, or some support to business. And we did some certification courses, not only for professional certification, but for entrepreneurship and with other skills for consultants. In the end of this month, we will have elections, and also the election for board, and also a new chair. And it will be somehow the big change for the organization, because we have different plans for internal market, for cooperation with international organizations, and also thinking next we will also promote Constantinis, and maybe we will organize our own award in Armenia, because there was no national award till now. Also CMC firm, I'm also thinking about this, because many consultancy organizations are asking us about certification of firms, but we didn't do this till now. We are only focused on individual consultant, and also these big changes and also plans will move IMC Armenia to full membership, because it's time already, many years, and it's really time. And as to 2020 somehow was lost, and the time of big changes, we are thinking to do some big restart after these elections and the changes, because we have some new organizations with marketing focus, with international focus, many experts and members with free zone organizations, and also our country is in very difficult situation. I don't know how you follow the news, and the country itself is going to the big changes, and it's a really very tough period for all of us. But I hope that next we will go to big achievements. Also, I would like to speak also about the flows. Nick told about membership flows, that somebody are coming, some are going. I just thought about this, that it's somehow like 10% of members are going and coming out. We had one consultant, for example, who decided to go out from consultancy at all. She wanted to start her own business, and it was some reason to cut all bridges from the consultancy. But instead of that, we got 3 new applications for members and very prospective consultants. So somehow this 10% of from the whole total number of members, we're having some changes, maybe from 10 till 20, but not more. The major part of members are constant, and hope that these big changes will bring us something new.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Greg, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Colleagues, I believe Constantinos Saropoulos had attended the previous session, Dwight, correct?
That's correct, he did, yes.
All right, yeah. He represents the US as well as our lead delegate. I serve as the executive director. Juan couldn't join us today, but Constantinos and I will report back to him, and certainly we appreciate the recordings, Dwight, as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Good.
So in the US, it's been as interesting as 15 months as any other country. Because of the pandemic. The pandemic has created both challenges and opportunities. And one of the opportunities that we've seen in the US is kind of determining what's really important, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of businesses today are looking at ways to change their organizations. Consultants play a big role in that. Our consultants are busy. Many of them have been impacted as well, but they're helping businesses transform their organizations. In the US, our government has supported our businesses as well as our citizens with trillions of dollars of financial assistance, amongst other resources, in order to help businesses survive during this troubling time. And consultants have been providing those businesses with advice on how to use those resources so that they could weather the storm. So great opportunity there for our members to help. We have a very large small business base in the US, and those are the ones that can benefit most from particularly independent management consultants. So we're seeing some of that. In terms of the association, our members have been engaging more because of COVID. We're seeing our chapter network, as well as our national organization, offering more virtual programming. The US is not quite ready to meet, although we're seeing signs of hope to meet in person. We have a significant vaccine rollout in the US, which is occurring as we speak. And more folks are being vaccinated. We're seeing improved numbers in certain areas of the country, and we're seeing go the other way in other parts of the country. I'm located in Fort Lauderdale and Florida, which is the south part of the United States, the southeast part. And we recently had our spring break, where we have hundreds of thousands of students that visit our state, and well, they left their mark, and so we're recovering from that right now. And we also have a senior population here in South Florida, so we have which are very vulnerable. And there are other places in the U.S. that have the same challenges. So we have to be mindful and vigilant, and making sure that we're not reversing the trends that appear to be improving. And it's giving us hope that members, businesses, just about everyone, even vacationers, will consider getting on a plane again. So very helpful for that. And I'll just leave that in 2020, our membership actually improved compared to previous years, which we're very grateful for. We saw other areas not do so well, but our membership stabilized. We have been aging, a lot of our members have been aging out, and we haven't been replacing them at the same ratio. That changed last year. We saw a lot of new members coming on board. So we're going to continue some of the efforts that we're implementing in order to continue that trend. One of the things that came out of a strategic planning session last year is that how do we get known, particularly with new audiences? So we're pouring a lot of resources into that, and we're starting to get known. We're starting to see our new members increase. So we're very hopeful. We're not out of the woods yet, but we are hopeful that some of the numbers will change. And our election is in May. We're going to have a new board, and it looks very exciting to have some new people on the board, and to implement and continue working on the plan that was created in 2020. Thanks, Dwight.
Excellent. Thank you. Love the update. Thank you very much, Greg. Kim, how are things in Finland?
Yeah, hi. I think things in Finland are quite well. If we talk about the COVID-19, we have more than 20% of the population vaccinated. I have got my first vaccination as well already 2 weeks ago. Still alive. Happy about that. So the government is talking about the exit program of the lockdown, which of course we are terrified about. And now we are happy about that actually. So, but what is going to happen with the lockdown exit? It most probably will happen during the summertime. But that's good news. Good news is also that the institute is fine, very fine actually. The COVID has been a good thing for the institute in many senses. First of all, we did the transformation from elderly consultants as members to the younger a couple of years ago, I think about 5 years ago already, by just cold calling and marketing. So being in contact with consultants that were not members and marketing directly to them, and got quite a lot of new members. We can see it we have a regulation in the institute that when you have been 20 years a member, you don't anymore need to pay the membership fee. And we can see that the amount of members is quite close to the same as it has been, but the revenue has grown. That means that we have got new members when the old ones are going out. So that's the good news. Yeah. Now the new board is looking for young members. We are trying to start training programs for consultants to be, or youngsters who want to become consultants, so that they can become members and get the training from the institute. That's perhaps the new trend there. We have the good news is that we have been organizing much more meetings with the members because it's online. We have had a lot of participants, also external consultants who then get interested in becoming a member of the institute. And it is very easy to get very good speakers on the webinars instead of getting them in place. So we have had high standard on the speakers, which of course improves the interest of becoming a member of the institute. So I think that's the good news when we talk about the institute. When we talk about the consulting business, I think the operational excellence consultants, the €5 a mile consultants have suffered of the lockdown, of course, because you haven't been able to travel, you haven't been able to meet people. And it has been a big jump to make that kind of consulting digitalized. So that has been the hard part. Strategy consulting is working quite fine because in general you meet very seldom with people. When you are doing the strategy consulting, it's easier to go on digitalization on that. And what is growing tremendously also, the interest is on the sustainability issues. We just a phone call to a big company. We got a meeting with one phone call to the head of the biggest retailer in Finland, with the biggest meat manufacturer in Finland. They give us 3 hours of their time in the phone. So it's an issue that really is interesting the big companies at the moment. So I think the growth will come from there.
Excellent.
I think that's all from the Finnish part.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, Jafar from Jordan.
Hello.
Thank you for meeting us. We're just doing a round table of the lessons that we've learned in 2020 from the Institute and from consulting profession. So do you have an update for us as well, please?
Yeah, I think we have also quite a lot regarding the pandemic. Just in very short term, I myself and my wife, we have already taken the 2 shots of the vaccination. And we hope, that will keep us safe for some time. But the bad news that we have heard yesterday, that in the country, they discovered, some 8 or 9 cases of a new versions of the virus, what they call it, the South African one and the Brazilian one. And we hope, that there will be a capability, of facing this situation. As before 4 months, we did have gradually get into the British version of the virus. And now it's spread everywhere.
Mhm.
And hopefully, that the South African one will not spread, and that they can find a way, to fight it. Anyway, that is the case for that one. But what I heard, that people should not expect an early opening of the businesses.
Mhm.
That is the question, because people of Jordan, they keep asking, why don't you release some of the restrictions? And the Minister of Health, he said, we shouldn't push very strongly on this matter. We have to see what is going on. But nevertheless, I can notice, that in the past few months, there were some advertisements, we have had for consulting and for the consultant, some works, but mostly they come through the donors. The donor agencies, who have some projects, they advertise that in the newspaper. And normally we do trace such opportunities and pass it to all our members
Mhm.
on the WhatsApp group, So we pass for them, hopefully, to give them a little hope of moving, that some kind of works will come on the way. That is from the point of the jobs, and that's what we're trying to do. But on the other hand, we did have last week some kind of discussions with the CMC committee. And that is what we need to develop a number of issues, with the CMC committee. And we have agreed with them, to develop two things mainly. One of them, the syllabus or the material of the CMC course that will be given, and to develop the procedures as well, because until now, some of the procedures which need a written examinations, that to be done face-to-face, the examiner and the applicant. But we managed, to arrange some kind of passing the questions through emails at an hour, at a certain hour, and give the applicant the time to write his answer and then pass back, within a short period of time, so that we can overcome the problem. Because some people, until now, they are hesitant of, coming to work or to meet face-to-face. We still have this kind of problem. For example, I myself, when I go out at the very, very necessary need, I use 2 masks, and I use face mask, with all the hygienes with me. So I don't blame them, when they don't want to come and sit on a table and do writings, So we will overcome this problem actually. But for the interviews, we manage, to arrange the interviews, through the Zoom meetings, So for this one, yes, we are moving quite good to rearrange our situation. At the same time, we have we're going to have a meeting with one of our ICMCI members, which is CMCGI, and we want to cooperate with them on the matter of the CMC in particular. And I think we will arrange a meeting with Otto on Friday so we can discuss a bilingual or we discuss, by directional, that cooperation. Sorry, the cooperation with them in this field. So I think this is also another attempt that we would like to create the community between the ICMCI members, so that whenever we have a shortage in one area, that we can cover it or cooperate, with other members of ICMCI. And this is, I think, an attempt to make a sort of globalizations for the efforts of consulting and with leading from ICMCI. That's all what we have had, and I hope that we can go further in the next few weeks in this matter. At this time, we have it's a Ramadan time in Jordan, where people fasting and stop a little shortage of work hours. So we hope I don't expect that there will be many activities during the month of Ramadan. But I hope that we can prepare our plan very well at this time and to go on the runway after Ramadan.
Okay.
This is all what we have in Jordan and activities regarding the consulting part of the businesses.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'd like to give a summary of some of the learnings that we had at ICMCI over the past year. But just before that, can I come back to you, Greg, with a question? This morning, Australia, morning my time, Australia made a reference to a program they have, which is for new entrants into consulting. And it's kind of, they called, I can't remember the exact name, but it was for starting up consultants. So if people were transferring to consulting mid-career from an executive position, or if someone were coming out of university and about to begin consulting, what do you need to know about consulting and so on. It's a series of courses that classes that go over. And I do remember reading about your I think it's called the Good Start program. So I'd be curious about that and how well it's working to get to attract new members.
Great, and it is a pilot program which we're very excited about. We launched it last year. It was actually the brainchild of one of our chapters, which we nationalized in terms of making it available to others and branding it nationally. It's video based. It's over a 2-week period. There are some recordings, there are some live sessions. We have a $99 US entry point. We offer a discount on membership dues if those wish to join during the and right following a certain number of days following the quick start. So it's really designed for that entry level or shifting consultant. We evaluated the program after we delivered it. I believe about 20 participated in it and learned that we have a little bit of homework to do, improving the videos, the quality of the sound video. It was all the videos were pretty much homemade. So we're thinking about maybe taking it to one level up and having them professionally edited. So the sound and video quality is superb. And it's a great opportunity. I think other institutes may want to consider something like this because essentially it's part of our marketing program. Of course, we want our consultants to learn how to perhaps start up and scale up their business. However, it's also a great way to introduce consultants to our IMC. And other component of this is that, like many organizations, we've taken the pandemic opportunity to look at things maybe a little differently. And one of the things that we're going to be doing this year is launching a learning management system. So we may actually put this Quick Start program on the LMS platform and make it available. Thank you, Dwight.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Please keep us up to date on that. And I've asked Christine in Australia the same, because I think this is a great way of getting the word out. So from ICMCI perspective, it's been quite a year plus in terms of what we were doing. Not unlike you, Silva, we had great plans and our objectives and everything laid out for 2020, and they didn't happen. At the goal level, we were able to manage to maintain our goals, but the focus of activity, of course, had to change to be much more interactive, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I think the biggest learning from our perspective is that the pace of change is faster, and the size of disruption that we're facing is greater than we could have ever anticipated. And certainly, a once in a century thing like a pandemic hopefully will remain once in a century. But the huge impact that had on so many industries at the same time was amazing. But we can't forget that there were a lot of disrupting factors starting in this decade, in the last decade, that were starting to peak in 2019 around economic, social, climate, different factors that were potentially disrupting. So as a result, client organizations have been disrupted and can expect to be continually disrupted from other means going forward. Consultants have been disrupted, and the things that you've been saying have reinforced that. And consulting institutes probably more fundamentally have been disrupted. The way in which people relate to professionals has changed very much. So some of the factors that are impacting the way in which we deliver products and services through organizations are also impacting professional associations such as consulting institutes. So COVID was a wake-up call for us, but as management consultants, we need to be aware of the fact that it's not going to be going back to a normal, and we are going to have to be prepared to support our client organizations in different ways as we go forward. On the other side of that coin, the silver lining, the bright side, is that the demonstrated ability to pivot was amazing. So people's ability to react to disruption, change their business model, change the way in which they delivered products and services is very impressive. And consultants similarly, to support that effort, have been able to change, to move to different types of service offerings, and to pivot to support their clients in different ways and in ways that they haven't supported them before. So I think that is also part of the learning for us as management consultants, is that we can implement change. We can support clients to change fundamentally their cultures and their underlying operating systems in the way that clients 15 months ago wouldn't have thought they could in the time frame that we think that they can now. So there's opportunities for that, for us to do that. The second major area is around digitization and virtualization. Again, the adaptation to things like hybrid, work at home and work at office models has been very all-encompassing. Many organizations have maintained the work at home levels that they were able to implement through the pandemic, and see that as a good way of operating. But it then falls to us as management consultants to help clients understand how to operate in the best way in this new model. Client organizations tend to react to what's in front of them, and our job as management consultants is to get beneath the surface and helping them understand what at the systemic level needs to change for sustainable improvements in effectiveness. So I think in terms of digitization and virtualization, we as management consultants have lots to learn and lots to demonstrate. So we need to be leading the way in terms of digitizing, automating our own services to make them more available and more affordable. But also in terms of virtualization and being able to reach out in different ways to client organizations to support them. And that leads directly to my third point, because to the degree that we can become more effective more efficient through things like digitization and virtualization, it makes our services more widely available to a broader class of client organization than was possible before. On the one hand, anyone anywhere in the world with a good virtual program and sufficient expertise can now make that available to anyone anywhere else in the world. So a lot of the borders are being broken down. But also within our own countries, it can make services available to smaller organizations that typically might not have thought about investing in consulting services. So I think the whole small, medium-sized enterprise, which really is the economic driver of most economies, can avail itself of, can take advantage of management consulting services in a way that they might not have been able to afford in previous times. So I think this is a huge opportunity. The fourth is that, and this is something that has starting about the middle of last decade, is that because of the availability of knowledge and because of the access to individuals, the buying model for consulting services is changing with a lot of organizations. They're not so immediate to say, let's go to McKinsey, or let's go to one of the big five, or let's go to a major consulting firm. They're more likely to start looking for the specified expertise that they need to support the problem that they have to solve. So this opens the doors to individual practitioners and small and medium-sized consulting firms to compete on a level field. So this reinforces very much the importance of a designation like CMC, where we can prove that baseline of competence of individual management consultants, and to be able to, as a group, get the word out there and be more available to client organizations when they need them. So I think the future is uncertain in so many ways, but from the perspective of the industry of management consulting, while we have a lot of issues in front of us that we need to solve, I think the future is bright, and we need to capitalize on some of these opportunities that are there. And ironically, in spite of the fact that we're having a lot of trouble growing our membership, and getting people to join institutes, it is through institutes that we can create this ability to collaborate, to learn best practices from each other, to build projects together, to ensure that we have the latest knowledge available for our clients by collaborating with others. And we need to do that through our local institutes and through ICMCI, through other mechanisms. And my final point, this leads me to my final point, which is that one of the biggest silver linings of the shutdowns and the lockdowns is the availability of virtual meetings and people's willingness to meet virtually.
Yep.
I know institutes are meeting much more regularly with their members than they ever did. And we at ICMCI have had an opportunity to meet with and build a collaboration across the world with individual management consultants in a way that we never have before. And that's been a huge strength to create those networks and that ability to communicate. So mixed message. We have a lot of work to do to create that visibility of institutes in countries. I think we have to think creatively and outside of the box of what it means to be an institute and how it is that we attract individuals who are management consultants into the family and bring them into the tent. But by working together, I'm sure we will be able to do that. So that brings me right to the top of the hour. Not much time for Q&A, but Rima, I want to give you an opportunity to add anything to my comments that you'd like to. And then I'll come to you, Jafar.
You said it all, Dwight. I mean, the only thing that I would love to add is that mentoring now is important,
Yes.
especially if consultants are catering to SMEs. Entrepreneurs, SMEs make the most of any economy. So those should be the focus. And like Silva said, they offered the mentoring and they offered it for free even at times, but maybe now people can afford it, almost back to business. So that's where I feel the opportunities are.
Okay,
Thank you,
very
Dwight.
much.
May I-
Okay, so
may I add
Silva,
something?
I have Jafar, and then I'll come to you, Jafar.
Actually, I have a request, if it is possible, and I will express it very quickly. Like the programs they have advertised about in Australia or other parts of IMCs, there are some of the programs, they are paid programs. Who will attend have to pay. And we do have, as we have in Jordan, they have in Australia and other places, that members will pay something different than non-members. My question here, is it possible to consider if a member in Jordan, will attend an event or a program in Australia, to be considered a member and pay the fees as a member like Australian IMC members, rather than to be considered, for example, a non-member and pay the extra. If that is possible in the future, to be applied.
It's absolutely possible. I think most institutes do that informally, but Rima and I actually had a conversation about that just a few weeks ago, that we should try to formalize that globally. I think that's a great idea, and we are working on that. So thank you.
This will help us very well, to spread, wherever there is something good and important to our members, so that they can share, especially when it is given in a language that is a universal language. For example, when it is given in English, maybe if it's given in other languages, people may not be able to share. But with English language, people would like to take part in this one. Thank you very much. This is
still it's a good concept, and it extends the idea of reciprocity even further. So I like that very much, and we are working on that, and we'll keep you posted.
Good.
Silva, over to you.
Yes, as Rima told about the mentoring and also entrepreneurship, besides being director of IMC Armenia, I am highly engaged in startup and entrepreneurship programs by local and international projects. And also many of our consultants now are engaged in coaching certification by ICF, and soon I will get mine. And also coaching became very trendy in Armenia. And next week we will start. Our partners suggest us mentoring certification, and many of our members now are engaged in that program. After completing the certification, maybe we can share with our experience, and if it's needy, we can somehow support each other with this, because certification for consultants, for coach, and for mentors, it's very important. And also mixing these three roles of consultants is also very powerful, something powerful. Now mixing coaching with consulting, it's something different than pure consultancy and pure coaching. So I advise all of you, and we are open to support if someone needs it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we've gone a few minutes over the hour. I promised not to do that, but it was a good conversation. I really appreciate this, and this ability to share information around a virtual table like this is very, very helpful. So I appreciate all of your input. Thank you for joining us today. And we will be sharing I should say Rima will be sharing the link. Rima and Huseima will be sharing the link for the video. So if you want to pass that on to any colleagues, please feel free to do that.